gunfire and near-nuclear panic in Russia's Belgorod. The suspect in the murder on the capital's funicular has addressed the victim's mother. And the president of Serbia is talking about the start of a civil war. These are just a few of the topics we'll be covering today. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, stay with us until the end of the broadcast, and leave comments about anything that interests you. And here's what else we'll be talking about next. Ours are coming home. A new prisoner exchange has already taken place. How many Ukrainians have been freed from Russian captivity and who has already returned to their homeland? He got out of the destroyed house and begged to save his wife.
Which house collapsed?
Over there, that's where it hit. 84 Ukrainians are finally home. Another prisoner exchange has taken place. Among those who were freed are both military personnel and civilians. Almost all of them are exhausted and tired, in need of medical assistance and rehabilitation. Among those exchanged are also people who had been in enemy captivity for 10 years. Our Nelly Kowalska will tell you about these long-awaited returns.
Just half an hour ago, a bus carrying the Ukrainians freed today arrived in this courtyard. This exchange is highly unusual. Today, 84 people returned home, 33 military personnel and 51 civilians. Among those freed today are several people who had been in Russian captivity since 2014. There is one young man who was captured in 2016. At that time, he was 18. Today, at 27, he has finally come home to Ukraine. And the coordination headquarters says that despite many people having been in captivity for over 10 years, they all remain Ukrainians. And they were all incredibly happy to have returned. So how did it all happen here today? Let's take a look right now.
Many individuals, both innocent civilians and brave defenders, had been held in Russian captivity since the year 2014 and continued to be held up until the full-scale invasion of the country.
And today there were an incredible number of happy children here. For example, today 2 Marines who are brothers returned from captivity. They had been held in different places, one in the occupied territories and the other in Russia's Mordovia. They saw each other for the first time today, right at the border. And when they arrived here, their whole family was waiting to greet them. One of them was met by his son. The last time they saw each other, the child was just 2 months old. Please take a look at their reunion. Another notable aspect of this exchange is the large number of officers who returned home. Today, as many as 10 officers were welcomed here. And it's worth adding that this is the 67th exchange. It was planned and it took place outside the framework of the Istanbul Agreements. The previous exchange under the Istanbul Agreements has not yet been completed, since not all prisoners under the age of 25 and those who are seriously ill have returned home. As for the next Istanbul exchange, according to the agreement, 1,200 Ukrainians are supposed to return home. Preparations are still underway, and we hope that very soon we will hear more good news about the return of our people home. Nelly Kowalska, Natalia Nahorna, Ihor Siri, and Andriy Romanok. TSN 1+1.
They destroyed an enemy tank and a BM-21 Grad multiple rocket launcher. Pilots from the Phoenix unit of the State Border Guard Service of Ukraine reported a successful combat sortie in the Donetsk region. It is known that our fighters managed to strike the occupiers' positions as well as the enemy's logistics chains, including the Russians' favorite loaf van, a Ural truck, armored vehicles, and several motorcycles. According to preliminary estimates, about 10 Russian soldiers have been neutralized. Our defenders are also skillfully disrupting the occupiers' logistics near Pokrovsk. There, the Russians continue their attempts to advance in small infantry groups in order to amass forces and move on to more massive assaults. Despite the fact that the enemy has a numerical advantage in personnel in this direction, every occupier has a gift prepared for them by the armed forces, the Spartan Brigade assures. The drone operators of this unit detect and eliminate dozens of occupiers per day in this area. $1.5 billion in weapons from the US for Ukraine. This is the total amount of contributions already received, thanks to the new Defense Support Initiative, PEARL, which stands for the Priority Ukraine Requirements List. President Zelensky announced this. Thanks to this program, alliance member countries can jointly purchase American-made weapons for Ukraine. So far, the Netherlands and Germany have each contributed $500 million. Denmark, Norway, and Sweden have also made the same contribution together. Discussions are ongoing with other countries. As Zelensky noted, such support is very important because it is a direct investment in our ability to protect the lives of our people and bring a just peace closer. The Czech Republic has already delivered 1 million large-caliber munitions to Ukraine. Czech Prime Minister Petr Fiala wrote about this on social network X, reminding that this was Prague's own initiative and that over the past year, under the same program, Ukraine received 1.5 million shells. This cost the Czech Republic at least 35 million euros. Shopping centers are closed, street events have been cancelled, and locals are in a panic. There is gunfire in the Russian city of Belgorod. Eyewitnesses are sharing footage and writing that bursts of automatic gunfire can be heard in the city center. Unknown drones are being shot down. Locals have already counted about 30 allegedly downed drones. At least one person is known to have been injured. Shrapnel damaged the roofs of houses, shops, and cars. One of the balconies in a residential high-rise caught fire, and the blast wave blew out windows. Earlier, the regional governor urged Belgorod residents to spend as little time outdoors as possible. Due to the threat of attacks, government institutions have already switched to remote work. Shopping centers have been closed, and outdoor events have been cancelled until Sunday. But the surprises didn't end there. A video has already appeared online showing public transport where passengers are urged to take cover because Ukraine is allegedly threatening Belgorod with a nuclear bombing. And all of this happened suddenly, right before the negotiations in Alaska.
Attention, attention. Ukraine is threatening us with a nuclear bombing, announces the press secretary of the NATO summit in The Hague. I repeat, attention, attention. Ukraine is threatening us with a nuclear bombing. Everyone proceed to the shelter.
The Russian delegation flew to Trump on a cocaine plane. A special IL-96 flight departed from Moscow to Alaska today because tomorrow a meeting between the presidents of the US and Russia is scheduled to take place there. However, as it became known, this very plane was involved in the cocaine scandal in Argentina 7 years ago when 400 kilograms of drugs were found in the premises of the Russian embassy in Buenos Aires. The plane that transported them had the exact same tail number as this one. As always, Russia denied its involvement in the crime at the time. Tomorrow, the talks in Alaska are scheduled to begin at 22:30 Kyiv time. First, Trump will speak with Putin one-on-one with interpreters present. After that, there will be business talks in a 5-on-5 format. The Russian delegation includes the ministers of foreign affairs, defense, and finance, as well as the head of the Russian Direct Investment Fund. A joint press conference is scheduled after the meeting. At the entrance to Kupiansk in the Kharkiv region, a Russian FPV drone struck a passenger car. The powerful explosion killed 2 people, the driver and a female passenger. Both were 69 years old. Another woman, 76 years old, survived but was injured. Kozacha Lopan also came under attack. One house was completely destroyed and its owner was killed. There is also a casualty in Nova Kozacha. In Kostiantynivka, Donetsk region, the occupiers killed 1 person and wounded 2 others. As a result of FPV drone strikes, there was 1 fatality in Pokrovsk and 1 person wounded in Dobropilia. Another person was killed in Rodinsky, which was shelled by the enemy with artillery. During Russian shelling in the Kherson region, 7 people were killed and 9 were wounded. More than 100 residential buildings were damaged. The regional center and 16 other settlements in the region also suffered from the attacks. In the Seredinobudska community in Sumy region, a 7-year-old girl was hospitalized due to a missile strike. In the Yunakivska community, an FPV drone attacked a civilian car. 3 women and a man were injured. He managed to get out of the destroyed house and called for help to rescue his wife, but immediately lost consciousness. Doctors are trying to save a 62-year-old man who suffered severe injuries after the shelling of Nikopol. The occupiers struck directly at the couple's house on the evening of August 8th. The wife died under the rubble, and the husband is fighting for his life. Ola Pavlovska will tell you more details.
His life is still at risk, but at least he is no longer in a coma. 62-year-old Andrei is in intensive care. Olena, the daughter who lost her mother as a result of the shelling, believes her father will recover.
We truly love our parents very, very much because they are absolutely the best, the most incredibly sincere and genuinely kind people there are in this entire world. It's profoundly very hard to lose our beloved loved ones, but it's ultimately okay as life always goes on, continuing its journey.
Which house was destroyed? Over there, that's where it hit.
It was Friday evening. The couple was spending it at home when the occupiers started shelling Nikopol. A shell hit the house directly and destroyed the home where they had lived together for 40 years and raised 3 children. Severely wounded, Mr. Andriy still managed to get out of the destroyed house and call for help, hoping to save his wife. But it turned out that 57-year-old Mrs. Irina died on the spot.
The entire summer kitchen and the adjacent veranda were completely destroyed. All of the numerous windows were violently blown out, and only a very small bit of the main house tragically remained standing.
In extremely critical condition, the unconscious man was taken to Dnipro.
He suffered a traumatic brain injury, fractured skull bones, many fragments entered his abdomen, and his arm was badly injured. Our highly skilled surgeons and dedicated anesthesiologists are doing almost heroic work, diligently bringing him back to life.
Daily complex surgeries. The doctors say they are doing everything possible to help Mr. Andriy survive. All 3 of his children believe their father will overcome the threat. Olha Pavlovska, Alexander Kulish, Dnipro, TSN 1+1.
13 people were injured in Russia's Rostov, 2 of them in serious condition. An unknown drone crashed into one of the city's apartment buildings. This was reported by the local authorities. Numerous videos have already appeared online showing a drone wandering in the sky between apartment buildings in broad daylight. It was likely affected by electronic warfare. Frightened eyewitnesses living in the city center filmed the drone's flight and explosion on their mobile phones. The video shows the device crashing into the upper floor of a residential building. The glow and thick smoke can be seen from different parts of the city. The regional governor reports 13 injured. There is also damage in neighboring apartment buildings. Volgograd is still smoking as well. Drones reached the local oil refinery at night, and this is not the first time. In the middle of the night, flames engulfed the Lukoil Volgograd oil refinery, where explosions had previously occurred, resulting in a fuel leak, as confirmed by the regional governor. This refinery is the largest producer of petroleum products in the southern federal district of Russia. Its capacity is about 15 million tons. That's why drones attack the facility regularly. This is the 5th attack in the past 2 years and the 2nd just this week. However, successful strikes on Russian military industrial facilities and oil pipelines in particular have already drawn criticism from Hungary. The local foreign minister expressed outrage on Facebook and distanced himself from the war in Ukraine.
We strongly urge Ukraine not to endanger Hungary's energy supply and to stop attacking the routes that deliver energy to Hungary in a war with which we have nothing to do.
What will Plan B be? President Zelensky discussed security guarantees for Ukraine with British Prime Minister Starmer in case Donald Trump fails to persuade Putin to agree to a ceasefire tomorrow at the talks in Anchorage. Volodymyr Zelensky shared this after the meeting in London. In addition to the US-Russia summit, they also discussed the continuation of support programs for the Ukrainian army and defense industry. No matter how tomorrow's meeting in Alaska ends, we must remain strong, Zelensky stated. He also announced that this month Kyiv is preparing to ratify the century-long agreement signed with London in January. Clashes at protests in Serbia. Supporters of President Alexander Vučić threw flares and firecrackers at anti-government protesters. In total, more than 70 people were injured. According to local media, the police were forced to intervene to stop the escalation. Rallies under the slogan, "Serbia, wake up," have been ongoing for 9 months and have spread to dozens of cities, with the largest ones in Belgrade. There, the protesters tried to reach the park near the parliament building, where since March, a tent camp of Vučić supporters has been set up. However, law enforcement officers in full gear blocked access for the anti-government protesters. Vučić himself called the clashes the beginning of a civil war and stated that peace on the streets was preserved by a miracle. The confrontation in Serbia began with the collapse of the railway station in the city of Novi Sad on November 1st of last year. At that time, 16 people died. According to critics, the tragedy occurred due to corruption and incompetence among officials. In addition, Vučić, who has been running the country for 12 years, is accused of ties to organized crime, violence against political opponents, and also of suppressing freedom of speech. Write in the comments what you think about the major Serbian clashes, and in particular how you interpret Vučić's words about civil war. Could another hotspot appear on the world map in a country where the authorities highly value their friendship with Russia? I'm looking forward to your thoughts, as well as your likes and subscriptions to our channel. Well, the TSM broadcast continues. We still have important things ahead.